main achievement is now the teachers know the importance of environment education, and now we have come to introduce to them about environment education for sustainable development. With the schools, they have known the importance of environment. The communities have also known the environment education importance.
Lake Victoria is a shared ecosystem. It is shared by 3 countries, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. And within the catchment of Lake Victoria, there is a lot of activities going on that have impacted negatively on Lake Victoria. Some of these include some of the agricultural activities going on, deforestation and degradation of the soils, overfishing going on in the lake, and there's also pollution from some of the factories and the cities found around the lake. These have resulted in the eutrophication of the lake. They have resulted in declining catches of fish due to overfishing. There is also a declining variety of fish within the lake, especially the indigenous species, which have been affected by some of the introduced species. The water hyacinth has invaded the lake and has affected a lot of the activities. This is due to some of the pollution as well as the pesticides coming and the nutrients coming down through the rivers into the lake. The catchment of the lake supports a population of over 35 million people. It's one of the areas within East Africa that's very, very highly populated. Poverty levels are high, many people, over 50% around the lake, and $1 a day. And so you've got many other problems facing them. Disease levels are high, malaria is very prevalent in the area, and the area has also suffered very, very much from the HIV/AIDS pandemic. Due to all these problems that have been mentioned, it was decided that education would be a good way to address some of the problems within the catchment. The project that we have is called the Lake Victoria Catchment Environmental Education Program. The purpose of the program is basically to try and address some of the problems through equipping the people who live within the catchment with the skills to make decisions about how to manage their environment. Therefore, an environmental education program that looks at schools, school children, their teachers and their communities was designed, and this is the Lake Victoria Catchment Environmental Education Program.
All over the world we are facing the important and urgent challenge of reorienting education towards learning for sustainable development. Learning for sustainable development is essential for each and every one of us. It helps us to develop knowledge, motivation, skills and values to actively participate towards a more sustainable future. It goes right across all subjects, and it concerns anyone involved in formal, non-formal or informal education. It includes many perspectives: social, economical, ecological, from local to global, from the past to the future. It involves democratic processes and holistic and critical thinking and giving action competence, and it is a lifelong learning.
Before I joined this program, at first misitu ya hapa tulikuwa tukipanda miti huko chini kama blue gums tunapanda near the swamp. After learning mafunzo, baada ya kupata mafunzo huko WCK Wildlife, tukajifunza ya kwamba huko near the swamp we need to plant indigenous trees and then 30 meters away from the swamp you just plant blue gums. Na imetusaidia sana, tumepanda miti, tumetenga bahali, tunachenga forest, tunapanda forest miti yetu. Alafu inatusaidia sana. We just learned a lot that we were using a lot of firewood before with the 3-stone fire ile ya mawe tatu, na ilikuwa nachukua kuni mingi sana, and we have been clearing the whole bush because we use a lot of firewood. But after returning from training, tukafundishwa how to conserve that firewood. So we have planted indigenous trees na blue gums. We have just made a few forests, and then we use this little tree firewood in this modern fire chiko. Pale tulitoka hiyo mafunzo kutoka WCK Wildlife Care. We have seen that each and every family use a little time to make food with very small firewood, and our environment imeleta hewa safi, inji imekaa mzuri, not like the past years before we learn all these things. Yeah, now at the swamp we are not digging there because we have learned that swamp helps us to keep all those animals. Nearly everybody in our village has learned how to plant trees, how to make that chico, how to conserve his firewood, to make little firewood.
They would go down there with the animals. Nobody cares, you know. They would just let the animals graze over in the wetlands, destroy the water, the watering sources. The cows would urinate there. The cows would put their dung there. And the same water was being used by the community for the daily cause.
The catchment is huge. And so we have started off by working within some specific target areas. And specifically, we have tried to focus on the river basins, on the major rivers that feed the lake. So for Kenya and Tanzania, we are working with the Mara River, along the Mara River. And the Mara River feeds the lake, enters the lake in Musoma. And so we're working with communities around there. In Uganda, we're working with the Katonga, within the Katonga River system. And we have started within the lower catchment in Masaka district. Primary, we are working with teachers. These are teachers in primary schools. We're also working with the tutors in the teacher training colleges, and specifically the teacher training colleges for primary school teachers. We're also working with the students, the pupils themselves, in the target schools. And within those target areas, we are working with the communities. With the teachers, we are carrying out training activities. This is repeat training where we are carrying out training for the teachers, all the teachers in the school. With the students, we have various activities within the schools, greening initiatives. And then within the communities, based on the needs that they have, we are also supporting the communities.
Hali ya shule kabla ya mradi wa WWF, shule ilikuwa na tatizo la upungufu wa miti, na kutokana na hali hiyo basi majengo yalikuwa yakizuiliwa mara kwa mara. Vile vile kulikuwa na tatizo kubwa la mmomonyoko wa udongo wa ardhi, lakini sasa hali hiyo tunaona kwamba kiasi imeboreka, na tulikuwa na tatizo la utupaji taka ovyo kabla ya mradi.
Our schools, most of them, before they joined the program, they were almost naked.
Yes, before the program started, the situation in the schools was very different, in the sense that you'd find the schools were all, there was nobody caring about the compound, nobody cared about the rubbish. You know, there was no seriousness commitment towards environmental issues as such. And the similar situation was observed in colleges.
The teacher primary colleges did not know anything about the environment education at all. It was a new thing for them, although they had heard about it, that it's been integrated into the curriculum, but they were not aware how to do it. Because the communities were making bricks in the wetland. They were not aware of anything about environmental education. They were not aware of importances of the wetland. All they knew was like, yes, they say the wetland will provide us with water. But what about water? We've been with wetland for almost, our grandparents have seen these wetlands, but what about them? So you're telling us not to cultivate or construct houses in the wetland. Where are we going to be? All our soils have gone into the wetland. So you want us to stay there and then starve to death? So basically they were all reclaiming the wetland, hunting the animals, bush burning, basically all completely to finish the wetland. And they have no wetland, so that for them they want food for today, but not wanting food for tomorrow. All they wanted was complete.
When we came in, they were using and behaving in a traditional way to exploit this resource. And in many ways, using the traditional methods of fishing, the traditional methods of crafts making, the traditional methods of brick making.
Within the community setting, a lot of factors that were leading to environmental degradation were happening. And these were mostly related to overstocking and free-ranging livestock keeping. There was a lot of tree cutting, and this was because of charcoal production, because people need that for heating and cooking. There was also a lot of firing. This was related to stimulating green flash in the areas because these people are herders, but also they wanted to do away with ticks. These are the parasites that are attacking the livestock. But we had other problems related to water resources. And this is about fish. The fishing methods that were employed by then were really very destructive to the fish resources. But the other thing within the communities we see, they were lacking the legal aspects of trying to manage the natural resources. They had no bylaws to help them try and enforce. We have been training them and we have helped them to formulate some of the environmental related bylaws, which are now being effected to control the illegal actions against the environment. But after the training, so some of these out-of-class activities, which is now the environmental greening activities, which includes the tree planting, the grass, the control soil erosion through a number of ways, maybe pegging, spreading gravels, and sometimes even trying to make some gutters to control water, which is free running, they are now doing. So this has helped really to make the school environments more beautiful, more attractive, and they look like learning centers now. The curriculum has been greened. The school kids to be more active, more creative, more participative, and this has direct bearing on the improved academic performance in those schools.
Kabla huu mpango ujaja, shule ilikuwa haijapendeza vizuri. Baada ya huu mpango kuingia, tulianza kuboresha shule yetu na kupanda miti na kuanzisha michezo mbalimbali ya shule kama ngoma hizi tulizokuwa tunacheza hapa, na walimu kufundisha kwa bidii sana na kuzingatia utunzaji wa mazingira yetu haya shule. Na pamoja na vijiji na huko vijijini tuliwaambia wanakijiji wote kuna nanili kilitokea mapungufu ya kuni, yani ukataji wa miti ovyo ovyo wanaotuharibia mazingira. Tuliwajengea majiko banifu kwa ajili ya upungufu wa kuni ili kuboresha mazingira na mazingira yetu yaweze kupendeza, na tukawaambia wapande miti katika vijiji vyao na kuboresha mazingira yetu.
Mradi huu tunafanya kazi baada ya kuwa mradi umeingia wa WWF. Walimu wote tulipata washa, na hiyo washa tuliporudi tulifanyia kazi, na hiyo kazi hizi tunafanya pamoja, walimu wote tunashiriki pamoja na wanafunzi, na hatimaye tumeweza kuhusisha na jamii ambayo inatupatia nguvu ya kuweza kuendeleza mradi huu, maana wanatupatia vifaa kama stresha, makwanja hayo kwa ajili ya kufyeka, wanatupatia vyombo kwa ajili ya kusomba kokoto ili kudhibiti mmomonyoko wa udongo, na wanatusaidia vifaa mbalimbali ambavyo vinatuwezesha hata kuandaa mashimo ya taka, na kwa hiyo pia wanaruhusu watoto hata kumwagilia hivyo vitaro tunavyokuwa tumeviandaa.
Before we joined, we are green about what we are doing. Our farming methods were very poor. We had little skills about farming and keeping animals. And
before we joined this program, our farming facilities were not all that good because we used to occupy the wetlands. We used to cut papyrus without leaving it to grow up. We used to dig up sand from the wetlands. But
in the communities, we had trainings. We asked the communities, so what can we do with you in order to leave these wetlands? They said, unless you give us something else, an alternative for us to do so that we get money. Because we asked them, why do you go there? Because we want to get money. When we grow vegetables in the wetland, we get money for salt, for paraffin, for at least medicines, just maybe a headache sauce, fees or clothes for our children. So if we have something else, then we can leave the wetland, because we know the wetlands are important, but we can't leave, we can't die when our wetlands are there.
Before I joined this program, we used we didn't mind about the swamp there. We used to dig, to cut trees, but later when Mrs. Ada came, she explained to us that you should stop. When you are cultivating, don't stop, don't go near the swamp, and that you can use things from the swamp, like palm leaves, like those which we saw where we make baskets. So we get things from there and then we use them as crafts.
When we have a school committee meeting, we introduce environmental education issues. We introduce and we ask them at least to plan something about environmental education. So they raise their views and we take their ideas and integrate them into the school plan.
Even in our syllabus, we learned about environment, and more so we in our exams we are given questions and we answer them. We can reason even what we are doing in our school compound, and we answer them. That can be free mark, because you just reason what is in your compound and you answer.
One of the things which is supposed to be checked is whether all the teachers have at least infused the environmental education concept into their subject syllabuses.
We have